This is how to supercharge your career during this incredibly quickly changing world with artificial intelligence leading the charge. Or to be more precise, large language models. Most of us have heard about the unprecedented growth that ChatGPT has experienced since its release. It's the fastest spreading tool that has ever been created, for which it took only 5 days to get to 1 million users. This is unmatched when it comes to all the big tech brands that we know today. The stakes are high, not only for companies, but also for individuals trying to navigate potentially massive implications for their own careers. We have always thought that the secret to job security and avoiding automation was to embrace creativity and other special human skills. However, we have already witnessed that AI can generate top-notch artwork and designs, generate copy and articles that could put journalists and marketers out of jobs. But enough trying to instill more fear and uncertainty. We're here to talk about how to best position yourself in order to accelerate your career. So what it is that we can do to win against the machines? First, realize that it's a collaboration, not competition. Don't see it as an enemy, see it as a tool. You will not be replaced by AI, at least not yet. What you will be replaced by is another person who uses AI. It's actually quite simple, really. If you can solve harder problems faster, you'll get paid more. To reverse engineer that into a practical next step, use these tools to understand how exactly they compare to what you do on a daily basis. Learn that and start using the output of these tools as your starting point. Very simply put, starting from being 50% done on every single new assignment will allow you to be 2 times as effective. The moral is that regardless of your thoughts towards this technology, we have to accept the inevitability for the forthcoming future and implement those tools into our daily lives. Secondly, you need to learn how to prompt. But what exactly is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering focuses on creating the most optimal phrasing of words to get the most accurate desired output. When it comes to machine learning community, there are 2 opposite camps on this topic. First camp says prompt engineering is temporary, while the second says that it is here to stay. Now, the reality is that the truth is probably somewhere in between, but for the sake of this argument, we're gonna keep it binary. So the argument for prompt engineering being just a temporary stop are the following. Large language models only emerged in 2018 and will grow exponentially due to open source nature and alignment in AI researchers, developers, and big tech focus. Reinforced learning will make their output more precise the more we use it, and there is a lot of people using it. In the near future, we will have personalized and fine-tuned AI agents for each of us personally, which naturally will require less prompting. On the other side of the ring, we have the believers. Their argument is mostly driven by one very simple fact. Language is ambiguous. Let's illustrate this point. All of these examples could be described with a very simple phrase: red car on the road. And yet, saying that these images look exactly alike would be simply stating a lie. So the more detail you can provide for context, the more precise everyone else can picture it. And that is exactly what prompt engineering is. But do not forget, quality over quantity is the name of the game when it comes to prompt engineering. Now, don't be afraid. There's no actual coding involved, as you can probably already tell, especially as we, mere mortals or non-developers, will likely be communicating with all of these large language models through interfaces like ChatGPT or fine-tuned environments that are just made for better user experience. Skill-wise, prompting is going to be quite similar to Googling, but to a more significant extent. Now, where does that leave you and me? Instead of trying to become a guru by going through every single prompt engineering guide out there, you only need to understand the fundamentals of how it works. Provide as much context as possible, break down the big tasks into subtasks, avoid complexity at first, and iterate on your prompts as you go. That should be enough to get you started. Prompting in general is a low-hanging fruit that all of us should be taking advantage of. Third on the list, we need to reframe how we learn new things. Learning something new today is very different than learning something a year ago. And the main reason for that is that now we have this ever-patient verbal punching bag that we can ask all of these silliest and most specific questions that we can come up with. Whenever we are picking up a new skill, it's mostly about very incremental and small victories along the way that really pile up. And ChatGPT is excellent in helping you break through the blockers you face along the way. Besides it being a tutor, it's also an excellent place to get your first draft. And I believe learning something from ground zero versus learning something when you always have a baseline at hand are two very different skills. Nuanced, but different. Lastly, now more than ever we need to rely on authenticity. It's important to remember that AI isn't generating new insights. It's merely a prediction engine that guesses the most likely next word. At the micro level, the word thank is indeed often followed by the word you. But at the macro level, its suggestions tend to feel the most general and dry output there is. They're only as good as the wisdom of the crowds, which is often the opposite of wisdom. And in the famous words of Oscar Wilde, everything popular is wrong. If you want to stand out and build a personal brand of any scale, you may be best served to stick to your shtick. In the end, people want to work with other people, not machines. AI is going to change our work lives, doesn't matter if we want it or not. And I hope these practices and insights put you in the most favorable position to leapfrog any competition out there. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next one.